we we as a human race tend to overvalue complexity and undervalue simplicity that gives us peace of mind. So
Mm.
my original training is as a psychotherapist, and I did that for a few years before finding my way into the world of finance. And if you look at the outcomes literature on psychotherapy, and if any of your listeners, I assume some portion of your listenership has been to therapy, so think back to, your time in therapy. If you think about that, depending on who you ask, when we look at the outcomes literature, the trust and the affinity you have for your therapist, basically, do you like them? Do they like you? That is either the number one or the number two predictor of whether or not someone in therapy gets better. It's not, did they go to 12 years of school? It's not the magic words that they say. It's just having someone who cares about you, who can listen to you, who can gently point you in a new direction, who can affirm that the thing that you're doing is sensible and wise. It's just these small little human touches that have an incredible impact. And when you look at the efficacy of psychotherapy, psychotherapy is more efficacious than a lot of cholesterol drugs. But nobody's poo-pooing cholesterol drugs or saying, that Lipitor doesn't do anything. But you would go, oh, well, I don't need to pay to have a friend or like to have someone listen to my problems. Well, you kind of do, and so I think that we're always looking for things that are complex or scientific or mechanical. And a lot of times the most powerful positives that can be brought into our lives are these simple human touches, these simple human affirmations. And I think we dramatically undervalue them.
That's a great point. So in that example, you said that the efficacy of the relationship was based on how well the patient felt like they were being seen and understood. Was that it?
Yeah, well, it's just rapport. It's just like, do you guys vibe? I mean, for lack of a better word, do you and the person sitting across from you vibe? And when people are looking for are looking for an advisor, I tell them that's the first thing. Call up 3 or 4 advisors you think you want to work with. Ask them for 5 to 10 minutes of their time and do a vibe check, because 99% of financial advisors know how to run a financial plan and create a sensible asset allocation for you. But you have to vibe with them enough to take their advice.
Right.
We know whether it's financial advice, workout advice, medical advice, about 50% of advice that's given by professionals gets ignored by the people receiving the advice. One of the top 10 leading causes of death in this country is people who have an illness, go to a doctor, get a treatment, get the drugs, and then don't take them, and then die from ignoring advice. This human thing, we're very hard-headed. And so one of the best predictors of whether or not you can overcome that hard-headedness is when you go into Karen's office, like, do you think Karen's cool? Does she have cool glasses? Do you like to talk to her? Do you feel like she could be a friend and a good listener? People tend to think of that as frivolous. It's not.
Yes, I've had that conversation many times on this show, and with folks who are shopping for an advisor. It's not just about who's going to maximize, returns or decrease risk or maximize, tax savings, et cetera. When in the worst moments of your life, are you going to feel comfortable picking up this phone and calling this person and saying this horrible thing just happened or this wonderful thing just happened? So it's almost like adding a family member. And if you're not comfortable picking up the phone, you might not be getting everything that you want or need out of the relationship.
That's right.
Similarly, I was thinking about, I don't remember all the stats offhand, but I know for physicians, there are some well-known, well-established stats connected to malpractice and bedside manner. So kind of the flip side of that is you could be the most established, kind of like what you were saying earlier with the psychologists or therapy sessions. You could be the most well-educated, experienced physician, surgeon out there, but if your bedside manner sucks, it really affects the patient experience, and then can increase your malpractice claims.
Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell shared that research years ago that basically the doctor's likelihood of being sued had a great deal more to do with their kindness and their bedside manner than their competency. So there's these doctors who are, sewing a Rolex into your chest cavity and forgetting forgetting how to do their jobs, but they're kind and gentle about it so they don't get sued. My family was on a vacation recently in the North Georgia mountains, and we were looking for a place to eat, and there was this place with decent reviews that we were considering. And then when we drilled down, we started looking at the individual reviews, and some of them were 4 and 5 star reviews that said, "Hey, I got food poisoning here, but everyone was so nice, so 4 stars." And it was this really strange thing. And I mean, I'm glad we didn't go there. I'm glad we read down a little bit. But again, it's this quirky part of human nature where, yeah, the food made me sick. The food was disgusting, but they were awfully sweet about it. So 4 stars. Okay. Whereas I think you could have the best meal of your life and be treated rudely, and you'd give 1 or 2 stars. So humankind is funny that way, and it matters a lot that you respect and get along with the person from whom you'll be receiving advice. Mm-hmm.